Travel Documentary. What if the streets of a world-famous city held secrets no travel guide would ever mention? Beneath the skyline of Manchester, known for its football, music, and rich history, lies a story you won't find in brochures. A story not about landmarks, but about lives. This is not just another travel documentary. It's a look at the shadow side of urban beauty, where rising skylines meet rising hardship, and sometimes survival becomes a crime of circumstance. At NVL Travel Documentary, we go beyond borders and postcards to uncover facts about countries and the people often left behind in the headlines. So if you think a country documentary can't reveal both wonder and warning, think again. Because behind the charm of the city, a darker truth is waiting. Stay with us. Number 1. Manchester's hidden crisis. When people think of homelessness, they often picture older men dealing with addiction. But in Manchester, that stereotype no longer holds. More and more women and young people aged 16 to 24 are finding themselves without a roof over their heads. And these aren't people struggling with major health issues. In fact, many are physically fit, smart, and motivated. What they lack is support. Family breakdowns, trauma, or financial hardship have pushed them to the edge. Today, you'll see these young folks sleeping in tents pitched outside shopping centers, in city parks, or tucked away under bridges. These makeshift shelters offer no protection from cold, rain, theft, or even violence. In winter, Manchester temperatures can dip below freezing, making rough sleeping not just uncomfortable, but dangerous. Recent reports from Centrepoint, a youth homelessness charity, show that over 59% of young people who called their helpline became homeless after a family breakdown. Often that's due to domestic abuse, rejection for their sexual identity, or conflict over substance use. Add in the economic aftershocks of the COVID-19 pandemic, and the picture becomes even clearer. Between February and April of 2021, over 529,000 young people in the UK were unemployed. That age group, 16 to 24, was hit hardest, with 2/3 of early pandemic job losses affecting them. In Greater Manchester, Mayor Andy Burnham has responded by pushing for 30,000 new social housing units to help stem the crisis. But progress is slow, and the demand continues to grow. In the meantime, the streets remain a last resort. And it's not just about a place to sleep. Homeless youth often deal with isolation, anxiety, and the feeling that no one sees them. These emotional wounds cut just as deep as any cold night spent in a tent. So next time you walk through a busy city square and notice someone huddled in a corner, remember, they might not fit your idea of what homelessness looks like. They might be young, they might be hopeful, and they're definitely human. Homelessness is no longer about statistics, it's about stories, and every story deserves to be heard. Number 2, who gets left behind? Manchester, once an industrial powerhouse, has transformed into a vibrant hub of commerce, culture, and tourism. This urban renaissance, while celebrated, has ushered in gentrification. a double-edged sword that has revitalized neighborhoods but also marginalized vulnerable communities. The influx of affluent professionals has led to a surge in upscale developments. While these projects boost the local economy, they often displace long-standing low-income residents. The transformation of areas like Ancoats and the Northern Quarter exemplifies this trend, where traditional communities are overshadowed by luxury apartments and trendy establishments. This shift not only alters the neighborhood's character, but also pushes out those who can no longer afford the escalating costs. The housing market in Manchester has experienced significant inflation. As of December 2024, the average house price reached £245,000, marking a 2.3% increase from the previous year. Concurrently, private rents soared to an average of £1,300 in January 2025, reflecting an 11.1% annual rise. These escalating costs have made it increasingly challenging for low-income residents to secure affordable housing, intensifying the housing crisis. For many, the dream of stable housing is fragile. A sudden job loss, unexpected medical expense, or minor financial hiccup can precipitate homelessness. The shortage of affordable housing exacerbates this vulnerability, leaving individuals and families teetering on the brink. Despite efforts to construct more affordable homes, the demand continues to outpace supply, underscoring the need for comprehensive strategies to address this pressing issue. While Manchester's evolution into a modern metropolis brings economic growth and cultural vibrancy, it also presents challenges that require thoughtful solutions. Balancing development with inclusivity is crucial to ensure that all residents, regardless of income, can call Manchester home. Number 3. The street trap. In Manchester, the link between homelessness and substance use is deeper than many people realize. Recent figures show that more than 60% of people experiencing homelessness are affected by some form of substance dependency, especially substances like heroin, methadone, and a synthetic compound known as spice, which has become increasingly common across the UK. But here's the truth that often gets overlooked. Not everyone on the street started using substances before becoming homeless. Many only turn to them afterward, when they're isolated, cold, and trying to survive another night outside. In fact, this becomes a painful cycle. First, people with addiction issues are often excluded from temporary shelters due to no-tolerance policies. That means they're forced to sleep outside, even during Manchester's freezing winters. And as the nights get harder, many rely on substances just to cope with the emotional and physical toll. One young man put it best: "I was clean before I ended up on the streets. But with nowhere to go and nothing to look forward to, I just needed something to get through the day." His story isn't unique. It speaks to a wider reality that sometimes what begins as a symptom quickly becomes part of the problem. In response, the Haggart Centre in Manchester is taking a different approach. Their harm reduction program provides clean supplies to reduce the spread of infections and offers judgment-free contact points for people in need. Through this outreach, many are connected to health services, counseling, or even rehabilitation. Some critics question the method, but the evidence is clear. This approach has helped lower infection rates and has even reduced fatalities related to unsafe practices. The challenge doesn't stop there. Over half of people experiencing homelessness also live with mental health conditions, like anxiety, depression, or post-traumatic stress. Yet, mental health services remain stretched thin. Long wait times and limited capacity often push people away before they can access real help, and so, the cycle continues. We can't fix this by focusing only on symptoms. Real change means seeing substance use and mental health struggles as signs of deeper issues, like poverty, trauma, and disconnection. If we're serious about change, we need solutions that bring housing, support, and mental health care together. If you believe everyone deserves access to shelter and support, press 1 in the comments. If you think we need a different kind of solution, press 0. Let's talk about it, because awareness is the first step toward real change. Number 4. Sleeping rough in winter. When winter hits Manchester, it's not just uncomfortable, it's dangerous. The city's cold, damp climate turns sleeping rough into a life-threatening situation, especially during freezing nights. For people without a roof over their heads, even a basic shelter can mean the difference between survival and tragedy. To respond to this urgent need, Manchester operates emergency winter shelters. These facilities provide more than just a bed. They offer warmth, hot meals, access to clean showers, and a safe place to rest overnight. Staff and volunteers work tirelessly to keep things running, creating a space where people can feel human again, even if only for a few hours. But here's the problem: there just aren't enough of them. Each shelter only has space for around 20 people, and with thousands facing housing insecurity across Greater Manchester, the demand far outweighs the supply. According to the latest figures from Shelter UK in early 2025, more than 374,000 people are currently homeless across England, many of them in major cities like Manchester. That's roughly 1 in every 74 people. This limited capacity forces some to make impossible choices: sleep outside in freezing temperatures or risk unsafe, overcrowded spaces. And for the many who don't make it into a shelter each night, the cold isn't just uncomfortable, it can be deadly. What's more, these shelters are built as short-term fixes. They're vital, but they don't address why so many people are on the streets to begin with. Rising rents, the shortage of affordable housing, cuts to social support systems, and untreated mental health issues all play a part. Without long-term investment in these areas, emergency shelters can only provide a temporary pause in a much bigger crisis. That's why many advocates argue that we can't rely solely on stopgap measures. We need permanent housing solutions, better access to mental health care, and systems that prevent people from becoming homeless in the first place. A warm bed on a cold night might save a life, but it won't rebuild one. Manchester's emergency shelters are a critical part of the solution, but if we want real change, we need to dig deeper and act earlier, because no one should have to face the winter alone. Number 5. Hope on wheels. It's something we're called to do as Christians, to care for those who don't have shelter, for those who don't have adequate food or housing. The Reverend Patrick Burke. These words aren't just a moral reminder, they're a mission. And in Manchester, one powerful symbol of that mission is rolling through the streets on 4 wheels. A purple double-decker bus turned into a lifeline. Known locally as the Embassy Bus, this vehicle is more than just transportation, it's hope in motion. Converted into a mobile shelter, the bus offers something deeply needed but often missing in homelessness support: dignity. Inside, people can find a warm blanket, a hot drink, and a welcoming space to sit. But it doesn't stop there. Volunteers on board help with everything from filling out housing forms, accessing medical services, to even providing laundry support. These small, practical steps help individuals move one step closer to stability, and they do it without judgment or red tape. What makes the purple bus stand out is its flexibility. Many people experiencing homelessness avoid traditional shelters for reasons we often overlook. Some have pets they won't abandon, others carry trauma that makes group shelters overwhelming. The bus meets people where they are, quite literally, and offers support on their terms. According to recent reports in early 2025, mobile services like the Embassy Bus have helped hundreds across Greater Manchester who might otherwise fall through the cracks. In a city where over 7,000 people are waiting for social housing, solutions like this are not just helpful, they're essential. Beyond its services, the purple bus carries a bigger message: that people on the streets are not invisible, that compassion, when delivered with consistency and creativity, can change lives, and that sometimes help doesn't come in a building, it comes to you, wrapped in purple paint, with hot tea in hand. In the heart of one of England's busiest cities, this simple vehicle reminds us that caring for others isn't a grand gesture, it's a daily act of showing up, one stop at a time. Number 6. The cost of Manchester's boom. Manchester may be booming, but not everyone is benefiting from that growth. As the city attracts more investment, more jobs, and more tourists, the cost of living is quietly pushing a growing number of people to the margins, especially when it comes to housing. Let's start with the basics. In late 2024, the average house price in Manchester hit around £272,000, rising nearly 5% in just 1 year. Meanwhile, private rental prices continue to soar. By early 2025, the average monthly rent in the city reached over £1,300. For people on low incomes or government support, these numbers are simply out of reach. Young adults between 18 and 25 are feeling the squeeze more than most. Many in this age group receive reduced housing benefits, which means their ability to find secure and stable accommodation is limited from the start. They're entering adulthood in a housing market that's already stacked against them, and for those without family support or stable work, it's a fast track to housing insecurity or homelessness. At the same time, Manchester's rapid urban development is changing the face of the city. Places like Ancoats and the Northern Quarter used to be affordable areas with strong working-class communities. Now, they've been transformed into trendy neighborhoods filled with high-exit apartments, boutique shops, and cafes. This process, known as gentrification, might make neighborhoods look nicer, but it comes at a cost. Long-term residents often get priced out, unable to keep up with rising rents and property values. And here's the irony. The same development that brings more money into the city also makes it harder for low-income people to live in it. As older, affordable buildings are replaced with luxury complexes, the supply of social and low-cost housing shrinks. So while Manchester grows richer on paper, it also becomes more inaccessible for thousands of its own residents. This economic pressure creates a fragile reality. For many people, one unexpected bill, one lost job, or even a rent hike could push them into crisis. It's not always about bad choices, it's about impossible circumstances. Manchester's prosperity is real, but so is the gap it's creating, and if we're not careful, that gap becomes a chasm. Solving homelessness isn't just about shelters, it's about creating a city where growth doesn't mean exclusion, and where everyone has the chance to call Manchester home. Number 7. The invisible struggle. What does it really mean to be homeless? Is it just the absence of a roof, or is it something deeper, something invisible? In Manchester, homelessness isn't only a housing issue, it's also a mental health emergency, one that too often goes unseen. Many people don't end up on the streets because they made one bad decision. They get there after months, even years of emotional strain. Mental health issues like anxiety, depression, or trauma, often from domestic violence, family breakdown, or job loss, are common starting points. For some, the street is the final step in a long line of pain they've been carrying silently. But once they're out there, things only get harder. Imagine living in a constant state of stress, uncertainty, and fear. Rough sleeping exposes people to verbal abuse, physical violence, and social isolation. That sense of invisibility, the feeling that no one sees you or cares, can break even the strongest spirits. So what's being done? The city of Manchester has increased funding for mental health services in recent years. That's a good sign, but the demand is overwhelming. As of early 2025, Greater Manchester's outreach teams are seeing a sharp rise in referrals related to severe psychological distress among the homeless population. The resources, however, just can't keep up. This is where community organizations step in. Peer support groups, mental health hotlines, and drop-in centers offer a sense of safety and belonging, but even they are stretched thin. Staff are working long hours on limited budgets. There simply aren't enough hands to meet the growing needs. So here's a question worth asking. How do we expect people to heal when they're still stuck in survival mode? Some promising programs are trying new approaches. For example, nature-based therapy, like guided walks, community gardening, and outdoor mindfulness, is showing real benefits for mental well-being. These might seem like small gestures, but they offer a sense of peace, purpose, and connection. Something many on the streets have gone without for too long. At the end of the day, this isn't just a health issue, it's a human one, and it's going to take more than clinics or funding. It takes empathy, understanding, and long-term commitment. Because no one should have to fight for their mental health while also fighting to stay alive. Number 8. Beyond shelters and hot meals. Addressing homelessness requires more than temporary shelters or hot meals. It demands a comprehensive, multifaceted approach. Here's how we can make a lasting impact. A critical step is increasing the availability of affordable housing. The UK government has allocated over £1 billion for homelessness and rough sleeping services in the financial year 2025 to 2026. This funding aims to support local authorities in delivering services to tackle and prevent homelessness. However, it's essential to ensure these funds are effectively utilized to develop affordable housing options that meet the needs of those at risk. Homelessness often intersects with mental health challenges and substance misuse. Investing in comprehensive mental health services and accessible addiction treatment programs is crucial. Despite increased funding, demand continues to outpace available resources, highlighting the need for sustained investment and innovative solutions. Empowering individuals with skills and employment opportunities is vital for sustainable reintegration. The UK government plans to invest £600 million to train 60,000 skilled workers by 2029, supporting housing goals. Latest news and breaking headlines. Early intervention is key to preventing youth homelessness. Educational initiatives and life skills training can equip young people with the tools to navigate challenges. Community organizations play a pivotal role in offering mentorship and support, addressing issues before they escalate. The success of these initiatives hinges on efficient management and collaboration. The government's Rough Sleeping Prevention and Recovery Grant will provide a total of £185.6 million to local authorities across England in 2025 to 2066. This funding aims to support people experiencing rough sleeping in their local areas. By fostering partnerships among government entities, religious organizations, social services, and the private sector, we can create a cohesive support network. This integrated approach ensures that efforts are not duplicated and resources are utilized where they are needed most. The ultimate objective is to reintegrate individuals into the community, providing stable housing, employment, and a supportive network. This holistic approach not only addresses immediate needs, but also fosters long-term resilience and self-sufficiency. Number 9. The stories we miss. As we've seen throughout this journey, homelessness in Manchester is not just about sleeping rough. It's about broken systems, invisible struggles, and a community trying to hold on. From rising housing costs to gaps in mental health services, the problem is layered and deeply human. But the good news is, there are solutions. From innovative programs like the Purple Bus to vocational training, youth prevention, and expanded mental health care, change is not only possible, it's already happening. What matters now is how we, as a society, choose to respond. At NVL Travel Documentary, we believe travel is about more than beautiful places. It's also about understanding the lives of people in the cities we explore and the stories that rarely make the postcards. If this video gave you a new perspective or made you think differently, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Because awareness is the first step, and together we can make a difference, one story at a time. As we've seen throughout this journey, homelessness in Manchester is not just about sleeping rough. It's about broken systems, invisible struggles, and a community trying to hold on. From rising housing costs to gaps in mental health services, the problem is layered and deeply human. But the good news is, there are solutions. From innovative programs like the Purple Bus to vocational training, youth prevention, and expanded mental health care, change is not only possible, it's already happening. What matters now is how we as a society choose to respond. At NVL Travel Documentary, we believe travel is about more than beautiful places. It's also about understanding the lives of people in the cities we explore and the stories that rarely make the postcards. If this video gave you a new perspective or made you think differently, feel free to like, subscribe, or leave a comment below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. Because awareness is the first step, and together, we can make a difference, one story at a time.